I used to think fire only burned wood and paint, but that day it burned something else. The false crown of a woman named Karen Whitfield, president of our HOA. She set a pile of leaves on fire beside my old barn, and the same wind she ignored carried the flames straight back to her own roof. When I first moved into Cedar Ridge, all I wanted was quiet. I'd spent 22 years in the Army, half of them overseas, where noise and adrenaline were the only constants. The property I bought was worn, weathered, and perfect. An old farmhouse, chipped fences, and a barn that leaned west, like it was tired but still proud. That barn was the first thing I fixed. It felt alive somehow, like it remembered things I didn't. The realtor mentioned the HOA in passing, said they just like to keep things looking nice. I should have known that was code for control. My first week there, I met her Karen. You could hear her before you saw her heels clicking on my gravel driveway clipboard clutched like a scepter. Tan suit pearls, that dentist office smile. "You must be the new neighbor," she said. "I'm Karen, president of the Homeowners Association." I wiped my hands on a rag, nodded. "Daniel." Her eyes darted to the barn. "Do you plan to keep that structure?" "The barn?" "Yeah, it's staying." She smiled tighter. "We prefer uniform aesthetics here. I can drop off a copy of the HOA handbook." I declined. That was strike one. Over the next month I got 4 notices. Grass too tall, faded fence paint, tools left out, unregistered structure. That last one made my jaw clench. The barn predated the HOA by 60 years, but she didn't care. Silence followed every rebuttal until a new violation arrived in the mail. I wasn't looking for war. I'd seen enough of those. I just wanted peace. But she wasn't going to give it. Karen treated authority like oxygen. She couldn't live without it. By fall, she'd made me her project. She started circling my property, muttering about fire hazards. I called the fire department myself. Chief Joe came by, looked around, and said, "One of the cleanest barns I've ever seen." I told him old habits redundancy saves lives. Karen hated that. Then the leaves came. I bagged mine, composted what I could, cleared the area around the barn. Karen didn't. She raked hers right up against the fence line, our shared border, and one afternoon she struck a match. I remember the sound first, the soft hiss of flame kissing dry leaves. She stood there, arms crossed, watching like she'd just won something. I walked over, hose in hand. "You planning to put that out?" I asked. "It's just yard waste," she said. "Perfectly legal." "Not with this wind," I told her. "That's dry timber. You could burn down both our homes." She smirked. "Maybe you should have torn that barn down when I suggested it." That was when I realized this wasn't about rules. It was about control, and she was testing how far she could push. I soaked my fence line, filed a formal report with the fire department, attached photos, timestamps, wind data. 2 days later, I got a violation letter from the HOA accusing me of provocative behavior and unauthorized irrigation. She'd flipped the story. At the next meeting, I tried to speak. "The fire near my property." Karen cut me off mid-sentence. "We're not here to discuss personal grievances." "I submitted it in writing," I said. "That matter is closed," she snapped. People shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke. I didn't argue. I just hit record on my phone and started collecting everything, every letter, every rule, every word she said. If this was a fight, I was going to fight it clean. A week later, the wind came back. Stronger this time, the kind of gust that bends trees and rattles windows. And like clockwork there, she was again, lighter in hand, leaves piled high at the fence. The match flared, and before I could shout, the wind grabbed it. Fire rolled sideways, hungry, throwing sparks across the property line. I dialed 911. My neighbor's burning again during a red flag warning. Flames are near my barn. Then I ran, hose in hand, spraying down the grass, the siding, the roof line. Embers flew like angry fireflies. One landed on her porch on a decorative straw bale beside a potted plant, and within seconds, her perfect fall display was a bonfire. I yelled, but the wind stole my voice. Karen turned too late. Flames crawled up her porch railing, snapping, climbing, devouring. She screamed, hitting it with a throw pillow, making it worse. Neighbors poured out, phones up, sirens wailed, and then she pointed at me. "He did this," she screamed. I didn't argue. I played the video, her lighting the pile, the wind, the fire's path clear as day. The fire chief watched it and just said, "Send that to my office." But Karen wasn't done. 2 days later, she showed up in a neck brace with 2 board members. "We're issuing a citation," she said coldly. "You created an unsafe environment." I laughed. "You lit the fire." She didn't flinch. "Multiple residents reported hearing a wind-inducing device from your barn, possibly a fan." "Wind-inducing equipment," I said. "You're serious." Her pen hovered over the clipboard. $500 fine. I pulled a folder from beside my door. "This is the county fire code. This is a certified weather report. And this," I lifted my phone, "is you lighting the fire. During red flag conditions, within 5 feet of my barn." She froze. I added, "The fire marshal has it too. Expect a call." She turned and walked off without another word. That night I almost quit. I sat on the porch staring at the barn, wondering if I'd made a mistake moving here, if peace was ever possible in a place run by people like her. Maybe I should just sell the property, leave the barn behind. But then I remembered every soldier I'd served with who taught me that retreat isn't peace, it's surrender. And I wasn't about to surrender my home. The next morning, Fire Marshal Ortega arrived. Calm, steady, the kind of man who doesn't waste words. "We've reviewed your footage," he said. "Her actions meet the definition of reckless endangerment." He looked me in the eye. "Most people just fold when the HOA comes after them." "Not me," I said. "I didn't survive 22 years overseas to be bullied in my own backyard." And sure enough, a week later the wind returned, and so did she. Third time, same spot, same lighter. It was almost like she wanted the world to burn just to prove she could control the match. I called Ortega directly. "She's doing it again." "Stay back," he said. "We're on our way." But the fire didn't wait. It leapt off the ground, caught the air, and in less than a minute her roof was burning again. Flames raced up the shingles, the sky turning red with smoke. She ran toward me, screaming, "You did this! You were waiting for it!" "I didn't move. I was protecting my home," I said quietly. Ortega arrived seconds later, blocking her path. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "the footage shows you lighting the fire again. This isn't an accident. It's criminal negligence." She collapsed to her knees. The fire crews contained it before the whole house went up, but the damage was done. Roof gone, porch blackened, the neighborhood watching in stunned silence. Karen was escorted away in a sheriff's SUV, no handcuffs, but she didn't need them. Her power was gone. The HOA met that night and voted her out 5-2. The next morning, Alan, the treasurer, came to my door with paperwork. "All your violations," he said, "rescinded. We're sorry." I didn't thank him. I just said, "Don't ever let her come back. Not as president, not as a ghost in the bylaws." But she wasn't finished. A week later, I got a letter from a law firm, Whitmore and Crane, claiming I'd caused her emotional distress and defamation. I almost laughed. She wanted to sue me for exposing the truth. I hired a lawyer of my own, Dana Hastings, a veteran too. After I told her everything, she leaned back and said, "She poked the wrong bear." We filed a countersuit, defamation, harassment, malicious use of HOA authority. Attached every photo, video, email, even internal messages neighbors had sent me showing how she'd tried to rewrite HOA policies to target my barn. The lawyers dropped her within a week. No explanation, just gone. Then the county pressed charges: reckless endangerment, violation of fire codes, filing a false complaint. When I got the notice, I didn't cheer. I just stood by the barn, feeling the wind move through the maples again, softer this time. For once, it didn't sound like warning, it sounded like release. The next day, the HOA held its first open meeting without her. No podium, no titles, no pearls, just neighbors. People talked, really talked for the first time, about gardens, dogs, fences, safety, about respect. Karen's house sat empty, roof-tarped porch wrapped in caution tape. Nobody bought it. Nobody even asked. And I realized something standing there beside my barn, the same barn she tried to erase twice. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it crackles. Sometimes it smolders. But if you stand long enough, the wind will change and the truth will carry the ashes exactly where they belong. Because in the end, she didn't just burn the leaves beside my barn. She burned her own kingdom down. Lesson: some fires destroy others, reveal what was already rotten.